Hey up, Poppet. You all right? Just me this week on the intro, as Ben has decided to go fishing, of all things, with our good mate Brucey. I had an update earlier on. He hadn't caught anything in his first 12 hours, so success, I suppose. So I'm just going to wing an intro. We all know why you're here, to watch some classic football from the 92-93 season. We've got some cracking games. We've got some not so cracking games. We've got some more hilarity with the back pass rule, most notably Stephen Pears of Middlesbrough. And on Middlesbrough, we've got our first guest commentator for a couple of weeks in the form of Fionn Viteza from the Culture Ultras Football Podcast and Vulture Authority fame. He's covering his beloved Middlesbrough against Norwich, and it comes with our first ever parental guidance warning for firm language, let's say. So cover your ears if you don't like swearing. If you've got a minute and you haven't already, please go follow Fionn on the socials at Fionn Viteza on X, or at the Cultures Pod on X as well for the Culture Ultras Football Podcast, and on X as well at VA_HQ, where you can sign up to his Patreon for extra content and help supporting him and the band. So yeah, without further ado, I'll play a bit of one of his tracks. We'll get straight into theme tune, so that'll replace Ben saying his line about rewind buttons and all that. And then I'll see you in 92. All right, see you there.
I'm a hopeless sinner, I sell my soul for a 96-minute winner. I thrust every inch of my shaft, balls deep into my overdraft. Bad decisions are my addiction, lost it all on a fickle 52-1 fiction. Locked myself in the debtor's prison, chasing elusive escapism. Astronomical anatomical cost, being found is boring, it's more fun being lost. I'll bet, borrow and steal, so I can afford my next meal. I'll steal, borrow and bet, until my wildest dreams are met. I'll bet, borrow and steal, just for something to feel. I'll steal, bet and borrow, so I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Now I know that life ain't fair, but how the fuck did he miss from there? Genius is inside my head, demons come to repossess my bed. Cry for help, but will anyone listen? Now I've not got a pot to piss in. I'm the hurricane, lifestyle master, the piss sweat through national disaster. On the scrap heap in my 20s, and there ain't anywhere else I'd rather be.
And first up this week, we have Sheffield United travelling to Stamford Bridge to take on Chelsea. And everything points towards a home win today, as the Blades, they are still looking for that first away win of the season. Whereas Chelsea, they've won 4 on the bounce and they are looking strong.
Chelsea line up with Kevin Hitchcock in goal, Frank Sinclair, David Lee, Mal Donaghy and Gareth Hall at the back. In midfield, Eddie Newton, Andy Townsend, Dennis Wise and Graham Stewart, with Robert Fleck and Mick Harford up front. On the bench are Alec Chamberlain, Graham Lasso and Joe Allen. For Sheffield United, it's Simon Tracy in goal, Brian Gale, Paul Beasley, Tom Coward and Kevin Gage at the back, John Gannon, Paul Rogers, Mitch Ward and Glyn Hodges in midfield, with Adrian Littlejohn and Brian Dean up front. On the bench are Alan Kelly, Jamie Hoyland and Alan Cork. With 5 minutes to go before half-time, Chelsea were passing the ball around in the middle of the park and Andy Townsend seemed at a loss as to what to do, so he passed the ball straight to Glyn Hodges, who played a beautiful through ball to Adrian Littlejohn. He showed some great strength against Frank Sinclair and fired on past Kevin Hitchcock to make it 1-0 to the Blades. It was Townsend's fault, but just a minute later he played a 1-2 with Eddie Newton and fired the ball under Simon Tracy's legs to equalise for Chelsea. On 51 minutes though, there was a new entry into how not to deal with the new back pass rule. Frank Sinclair passed it back to Hitchcock. He got caught in possession by Littlejohn. He put the ball into the box, it bounced off the post and Brian Dean stabbed home to win it for the Blades.
And 2 horrendous mistakes cost Chelsea winning 5 on the bounce, but give Sheffield United their first away win of the season. And great to see big Brian Dean on the score sheet.
Get in, Brian.
2-1. And next up we head to Goodison Park, where Manchester City take on Everton. Talk about falling off a cliff. The Toffees were in the top 4 at the end of August, and just 2 months later, they now sit in 16th. They've won only 1 of their last 9 league games, and they've only scored 3 in the last 6 home matches. Surely a win for City is on the cards today.
Everton line up with Neville Southall in goal, a back 4 of Gary Ablett, Martin Keown, Dave Watson and Matt Jackson. Billy Kenny, Barry Horn, Peter Beagrie and Robert Varzicker in midfield, with Stuart Barlow and Paul Rideout up front. On the bench are Jason Caton, Andy Hinchcliffe and Precky. For Man City, it's Tony Coton in goal, Keith Curl, Terry Phelan, Ian Brightwell and Andy Hill at the back, with Steve McMahon, Fitzroy Simpson, Rick Holden and David White in midfield, with Niall Quinn and Mike Shearer up front. On the bench are Martin Margetson, Peter Reid and Gary Flitcroft. On 12 minutes, David White got the ball on the right, crossed the ball in, Mike Shearer volleyed on to make it 1-0. Then White himself, after 20 minutes, fired on from 20 yards. And then in the second half, Terry Phelan put a ball in and Mike Shearer made it 3. Stuart Barlow tried to get one back, he crossed it in, then Ian Brightwell gave him one and nodded it into his own goal. And then Barlow himself was decked by Keith Curl in the box. Penalty. He takes it. Is the comeback on? Nope, he's missed and it's cleared by Ian Brightwell. 3-1 Man City.
Oh, wow. Everton's strike force have only managed 3 league goals all season at Goodison Park. Not only did they miss a penalty today, but a City player had to put the ball in his own net to get him on the score sheet. They struggle to score in a brothel at the minute. It was also good to see 36-year-old Peter Reid coming on in the 56th minute for Fitzroy Simpson. It was to make his 500th career appearance. And lastly, just keep an eye out on the Tony Cottee situation at the minute. He's openly criticised Howard Kendall and all of his Everton teammates, which in my view is quite right to do so. But Kendall dropped him today for Stuart Barlow, and we will keep you posted on this in the coming episodes. And we now head to Ellen Road to see the champions of England take on Coventry City. Here is a fortress for Leeds, as they have gone 28 games unbeaten at home. But they do face a tough task today though. Coventry, they've won 4 and drawn 3 of their 7 away games so far this season. Surely one of these streaks they're going to give today.
Leeds line up with John Lukic in goal, Chris Fairclough, Chris White, Tony DeRigo and John Newsom at the back. In midfield are David Batty, Gary McAllister, Gordon Strachan and Gary Speed, with Rod Wallace and Lee Chapman up front. On the bench are Mervyn Day, David Rocastle and Cantona. For Coventry, it's Steve Agrizovic in goal, Peter Billing, Kenny Sansom, Peter Atherton and Brian Burrows at the back, with Lee Hurst, Stuart Robson and Tony Sheridan midfield, with Paul Williams, John Williams and Peter and Love up front. On the bench are Jonathan Gold, Phil Babb and Terry Fleming. After 12 minutes, Coventry got a corner, Lee Hurst swung it in and Gary McAllister scored an own goal to put the Sky Blues ahead. It's usually involved in goals at the other end. I don't think I've ever seen Gary McAllister with an own goal before, but it's a football first. Then, not long later, agony for David Batty as Stuart Robson went right through the back of him, nearly snapped his ankle in two. He's writhing round in agony, physio's legging it on to give him magic sponge, and referee, rightly so, gives Stuart Robson a stern ticking off. No yellow though, told him next time, then you're going in book. But that's the end of the game for David Batty. On in Batty's place was Arsenal legend David Rocastle. He found Gordon Strachan in the box. He tried to make himself some space, stood up a ball to the back post. There was Gary Speed who knocked it across for Lee Chapman to tap home from Lee Chapman range. That's Chapman's 8th goal of the season now, and Leeds have been relying on his goal since Eric Cantona chucked his toys out the pram. On 77 minutes, Stuart Robson found the run of 21-year-old centre-back Phil Babb, who was offside. Wrist on goal, he's hit the post. But there was 19-year-old wonder kid Peter Unlove to score yet again and give the Sky Blues the lead. But then, in the 90th minute, Leeds got a free kick. Strachan swung it in, and there was Chris Fairclough to head home to equalise for Leeds. It kind of looks like he was going to start a bit of a dance here, but everyone caught up and, yeah, 2-2.
Well, that was brilliant from Leeds. Coming from behind twice to draw with Coventry. Just seconds remained when Leeds rescued their unbeaten home record. It wasn't great to see that Yorkshire Terrier though, David Batty, getting carried off with a twisted ankle. He's going to be a huge miss against Rangers. Rangers? What do you mean Rangers? Well, they've got a Wednesday night game coming up of Leeds. The 2-1 down, the Battle of Britain. Can they turn it over in the European Cup? Go on, Leeds! And now to Old Trafford, where we have over 32,000 roaring Manx getting behind the Red Devils as they take on Wimbledon. And the Dons, well, they've only got 2 Premier League wins to the name all season, and they look like a team that will be battling against a drop. They haven't had a win in their last 5 games. They're only a win away, well, that was at Anfield, so they beat Liverpool 3-2. So actually, that's a little bit of positivity they can take going into today's game. Let's see how they get on.
United line up with Peter Schmeichel in goal, Steve Bruce, Gary Pallister, Clayton Blackmore and Paul Parker at the back. In midfield are Paul Ince, Darren Ferguson, Andre Konchelskis and Ryan Giggs, with Brian McClare and Mark Hughes up front. On the bench is Gary Walsh, Mike Phelan and Brian Robson. And for Wimbledon, it's Hans Sagers in goal, Roger Joseph, Alan McCleary, Warren Barton and Brian McAllister at the back, Gerald Dobbs, Vinnie Jones, Laurie Sanchez and Robbie Earle in midfield, with Terry Gibson and Dean Oldsworth up front. On the bench are Neil Sullivan, Steve Cottrell and Andy Clark. In the 79th minute, Terry Gibson swung a free kick in and Laurie Sanchez fired home to give Wimbledon a famous victory and one of the biggest upsets in Premier League history.
Yes, Mike, without a shadow of a doubt, this is the result of the season for me so far. The Dons gave United their first league defeat in 12 games. And here's one for you. Laurie Sanchez has scored 3 times this season, and every time he's scored, Wimbledon have won. They've beat Arsenal, Liverpool, and now Man United. Celebrating to the night, crazy gang. A huge 3 points.
And now to Carrow Road, where Fionn Viteza brings you all the action. And a little bit extra here and there.
Are we live? We're live! Hello, I'm Davina McCall. You're live on Channel 4. Please do not say fuck or bugger.
Hello, welcome, Premiership stars. With me, Fionn Viteza, the Vulture Authority and the Culture Ultras Football Podcast. Hello. Yes, so, totally unbiased commentary of Norwich City versus Middlesbrough from 5 years before I was born. So I've no fucking clue who anyone is. But yes, I'm the man for the job. In 10 years, I've worn the Spurs shirt, obviously. I do have an ICI one, which is in the video, but I forgot to get it from my mum's. So I'm wearing this one. It's from 1980, which is lovely. That's Cleveland when, you know, just as Thatcher's coming in, while the country still had some industry left. Yeah, so, well. And obviously 92, this is just after the fall of the Soviet Union. So that's humanity's last hope gone. But we're back, we're here anyway. So, but I've got a Cameroon hat on, because I'm going bald for one. I don't want you to see that. So I'm wearing something Middlesbrough related, because I bought this for Joseph Desiree job. He doesn't play for Borough for another 9 years, but it's immaterial. So let's get on with this, shall we? Norwich City versus Middlesbrough. We'll start with the lineups. For Norwich City in net, we've got Brian Gunn, famous now, of course, these days as a Twitter account, as exceptional one as well. How long that must take to edit boggles my mind, and it's superb. Brian's Gunn, there you go. Rob Newman, not a clue. Ian Butterworth, not a clue. John Polston, not a clue. Mark Bowen, not a clue. Daryl Such, not a clue. Jeremy Goss, now, not a clue still. I am 20, so I've just turned 27. So this is before my time. Despite the fact I do look like I'm 45. So, yeah, forgive me. But Jeremy, I feel, is like a perfect name for a Norwich player. All Norwich players should be called Jeremy, in keeping with the sort of general vibe of East Anglia, I feel. Yeah, but yeah, it's like Bournemouth. Like a Bournemouth of the modern day. It just doesn't sound like a real footballer's name. Like none of the Bournemouth players do, because they're all regens, and Bournemouth's a conspiracy against Southampton, made by Pfizer and Moderna and the Luciferian agenda. Onwards, Ian Crook, David Phillips, Mark Robbins, I've heard of him, Chris Sutton, of course, Norwich subs, Mark Walton, Ruel Fox, now there's a man. Him and Les Ferdinand came back out late for a second half once, I believe, because they were having a shit. Kind of stuff I can get behind. And Darren Beckford, don't know if he's related to Jermaine. We had this conversation. I can't remember it. So for Borough, Stephen Pears, father of Ainsley, of course. Yeah, that's all really got to say about him. Superb hairline on a man though. The real man's. The real physique of a footballer, overweight, going bald. Not that I'm have any particular preference towards or inclination to that particular build or description. Jonathan Gittins, Alan Kernahan, Derek White, Jimmy Phillips, Curtis Fleming, famously had a scrap with Fabrizio Ravelli. Yeah, so, so there you go. Mark Proctor in midfield, Tommy Wright, Big John Hendry, of course, legend, there you go. Willie Falconer, which he sounds like he should be playing in 1942 rather than 1992, although 1942 he wouldn't have been playing because he'd have been at war. And Big Paul Wilkinson, of course. And managed by Lenny Lawrence, very much the Pete Best as Middlesbrough Football Club. Ian Ironside, he don't get up off his arse much, does he? Ironside. Hey. Chris Morris, struggling to play with a brat star. And Bernie Slaven, of course. But there we go, there's your lineups, there's your inspo, there's your lineups. And we've waffled enough shite. Let's get into this.
First division now, we could put a team out like that, say, that with a lot of changes and a lot of injuries, and you could nick a win. You know, we did it loads of times last year. Can't do it in this league. There's too many good players and too many good teams. And, you know, you just can't wave a magic wand and hope things are right. All you can do is put a team out and hope that the players and the team do as well as they can do. And that's what's happened. Now, sooner or later...
So, this is, again, proper management. Just stick a team out, see what fucking happens. Yeah, I don't think the philosophy of just see what fucking happens is how I live my life. However, running a football team, perhaps not the best strategy.
It'll turn. You know, the important thing is we lost on Wednesday. We haven't lost 2 on the trot at all. We've lost...
Hey, we haven't lost 2 in a row. Well done.
4 out of the first 12. Now, if we lose 4 out of the next 12, and 4 out of 12 after, we'll be all right.
So, success for Lenny Lawrence is losing 12 games. Yeah, so losing 12 out of, I think we're still on, yeah. But so it's more than that. 4 out of the next, 4 times 4 times 4. No, yeah, hang on, not times. Maths, not my strong suit. So you're 16 games a season, sorry, but losing 16 games a season for Lenny Lawrence equals success. Now, to me, that does not really chime. It does not, the word association role-play game would not be lose 16 games, success. But there you go, Lenny Lawrence knows what he's talking about, he's the professional, who am I?
And then, Borough still 9th, and at Carrow Road it is another of those so near yet so far storylines.
Run being made by Bowen on this flag, and there's a superb ball, beautifully delivered in for Robbins, and that's an own goal! Oh, headed over!
With a superb moment here, as the ball is almost ungoaled from outside the box. Now, the only time you'll ever see a player score an own goal from outside the box is when I have bet on that team. So I wasn't alive to bet on this, so this is quite remarkable. Stephen Pears heads it over because the woke mob again have brought in the back pass rule, and absolutely nobody seems to understand it, which is fantastic. There should be, I feel, every year just bring a fucking weird rule in and see what happens, just to cause a bit of chaos. Yeah, I think that's a good way of moving forward.
Stephen Pears! Well, what can you say? Magic stuff from Pears.
Magic stuff from Pears. There's a joke about groceries in there. Do you make it yourself?
Looked like it was going in the net there.
Now, people like Joey Barton, if a female commentator said it looked like it was going in the net there, that'd be a 3-day fucking Twitter thread. Whoever this guy is, I'll do a better job of this.
And Pears electing to head it because of this back pass rule.
No, that's proper football. Lump it up. Don't fucking piss about it. You're a goalkeeper. Put your fucking foot through it.
Simpson gives away the free kick, quickly taken by Faulkner, looking for Henry.
And this is Bergkamp. This is like Dennis Bergkamp. This is Dennis Bergkamp if he meant to do what he did. This is very Lee Tomlin versus City-esque. Fucking unbelievable, whatever you want to call it. Round a defender, and then unfortunately the inside of a post, and then somehow out. You know how it goes out? Because when it hits the inside of the post, because it's fucking Middlesbrough.
19 minutes gone. And John Henry so unlucky.
Carrow Road there. Actually, it's a regalia with this story.
as we just hit the inside of the post and it's come out and not gone in. Of my bad luck at Carrow Road. So in 2021, under Tony Pulis, 10-hour round trip into Carrow Road. Norwich, who were 14th at the time, and shit, under Daniel Farke. This is the season they went up. So with Tony Pulis, you know, hope for some reason with Pulis, you know. Yeah, we had no shots on target, lost 1-0. There was only one shot on target, it was Norwich's, it went in. They went on a 14-game fucking winning streak, went up, we went nowhere. And yeah, 10 hours to watch a Tony Pulis team. But imagine that, 10-hour round trip. I have suffered!
And John Henry so unlucky. He brought that ball down beautifully. This is White. Henry, seeing a lot of the ball, Henry. Jimmy Phillips making the run, good clip ball from him, and Wilkinson's there to goal!
A beautiful goal. It's Paul Wilkinson riding like a shaman there. So look, very nice actual liquid football going on here. This, you know, even in terms of 1992, you don't really, when you think of 1992, you think shit pitches. You think, yeah, but that's a rare nice goal there without it bobbling around, and looked like it actually took a bit of skill. So yeah, you cannot say fairer than that. Borough deservedly winning. Let's have it. Who knows what's going to happen? Not me. It's not as if I've been pre-warned what the score is. But yeah, it's not as if it's easily Googleable. Result from fucking 30 years ago. But yeah, stay tuned. It's getting tense.
Wilkinson found the space at the far post.
Yeah, that's another thing. An untucked shirt of Paul Wilkinson there. An untucked shirt in 1992. That's, yeah, this is proper. Like, tucked in shirt, never been a fan. And there's that against old football for that. You don't tuck your shirt in. Bit of freedom, play with freedom.
Across from Jimmy Phillips.
Vuvuzela there. Obviously, Nelson Mandela just got out, so maybe in celebration of that.
And Middlesbrough take the lead here at Carrow Road. 20 minutes into the second half.
It's a lovely ball, it really is.
And it's stemmed from Henry here. Henry releasing Jimmy Phillips down that left bank. A good clip cross from him on the run. And Paul Wilkinson lost his marker for once.
Lost his marker, the commentator there says, lost his marker for once, but in a way that makes him sound incredibly shit. It's funny. I'll get out of Peter Drury, although do not slag Peter Drury off to me. He will receive both barrels. Poet!
And the open space by the far post. A simple header in the end for him.
Oh, we're in the dying throes. Borough surely cruising to a win. Borough cruising to a win. Shit cross. Should have been cleared twice. Bobbles around. And there's Daryl Such. A man who, upon Googling, scored 8 times in 14 years. And of course, one of them was a last-minute equaliser against Borough, because such is life. Yeah, so obvious. For anybody who's not a Borough fan out there, if you like misery, if you like the vicissitudes of fate coming to bite you in the most cruel way possible, do support us. We'll welcome you with open arms. Yeah, because I cannot even think of a specific example. There have been too many. Just absolute. Just imagine think of the most painful way you could be defeated, and Borough have done it multiple times, probably this season. Every season. Pain. Look at me up there. There's a great sponsor in the back there. Norwich and Peterborough. For what? What is it? Building Society? Who's asked? Anyway, so we'll go to some roundup stats. As I've been talking for far too long, probably annoyed everybody who's watching it. So, it was Paul Wilkinson's 8th league goal of the season. Norwich end the week 2nd place, level on points with Blackburn. They're very much the Manchester City of the time. Borough end 11th, obviously. Not bad though, although I do think we go down this season. So, it doesn't go well, but yeah, so Lenny Lawrence, again, as I said before, very much Pete Best of Borough. Luckily, you know, brighter days are ahead. And then we get to 2009, we go down, and it's all nothing but misery apart from a couple of years right all crying, and then it's misery again. But yeah, you never know when the misery will end, probably never. But yeah, that's that. Next up, Norwich are away to Oldham. Nice easy game for them, and we're playing Liverpool, so we probably get battered. But Borough have conceded late goals to Southampton, Tottenham and QPR this season. So it's happened again, because obviously, as I've delineated here, there's no joy in being a Borough fan other than there's no suspense. And you know you're going to get fucked, you just don't know how. Yeah, the attendance was 14,499. Pathetic noise. Really? Yeah. Yeah, these fucking assholes. Anyway, thank you very much for watching my absolute bullshit. There's probably several things in there that are highly embarrassing and incorrect, but what do you expect from me? I took fucking Borough with multiple Champions Leagues on Football Manager, better than fucking Lenny Lawrence, where you can fuck off. Mirko Piliacelli, goalkeeper, captain, scored twice in the Champions League finals, chucking him up. Just unbelievable. You know, we've had Kvaratskhelia due to me, Julian Alvarez due to me, but now we've not, because nobody's listened to me. We could have signed him, as I may have told everybody I've ever met. I discovered Kvaratskhelia in 2018 in Georgia, playing for FC Rustovi. Told Borough to sign him for 5 years, they ignored me. And now he's one of the best players in the world, and Napoli signed him for 8 million quid. So, yes, there's much to be resentful about. So, thank you very much for watching this. I'll, don't know if I need to do an intro, there's probably something after me. And then outro, I've just waffled shite again. Thank you very much. I've been Theon the Taser of Vulture Authority and the Culture Ultras Football Podcast. Premiership stars forever. See you later.
And now to the City Ground. Oh, how Forest need a win today. The form has picked up a little bit, to be fair to them, but they do sit rock bottom. And the fans, are they going to witness that first relegation for 20 years? It actually might happen this season, but they take on draw specialists Ipswich Town. Let's see how they get on.
Forest line up with Mark Crossley in goal, Carl Tyler, Stuart Pearce, Brian Laws and Roy Keane at the back, with Gary Crosby, Toddy Orlington, Scott Gemmell and Kingsley Black in midfield, with Nigel Clough behind Lee Glover up front. On the bench are Andy Marriott, Steve Chettle and Gary Bannister. And for Ipswich, Clive Baker in goal, Steve Palmer, Neil Thompson, Phil Whelan and David Linnigan at the back. In midfield is Mick Stockwell, Geraint Williams, Jason Dazelle, Gavin Johnson and John Walk, with Chris Kiwamya up front on his own. On the bench are Jason Winters, David Gregory and Paul Goddard. Forest have been on great form, but in comparison to how dross they were at the start of the season, and after 6 minutes, John Walk found Mick Stockwell on the left wing. He put a cross to the back post, Steve Palmer headed across, and there was Jason Dazelle with his 5th goal of the season to give Ipswich the lead. And then we have the content you're all here to see and are here to see every week. Brian Laws whipped a cross in. It come off Mick Stockwell's shin. Clive Baker caught it. Martin Boddenham give a back pass. So we have one of them beautiful indirect free kicks in the box. Stuart Pearce is over it. He's got an hammer of a left foot. Let's see what he can do. Square into Phil Whelan's nads. 1-0.
And misery continues for Brian Clough's men. That's 8 losses this season. They look woeful, short of confidence, lacking in class, and still rock bottom of the league. That's the second away win of the season though for Ipswich. And as Mike mentioned in commentary, Jason Dazal takes his goal tally to 5. 1-0. We have over 31,000 fans packed in Tilsborough today to see Sheff Wednesday take on top of the table, Blackburn Rovers. Just one defeat so far for Rovers, and they have the best defensive record too. But we've got England strikers Alan Shearer and David Hirst on the pitch today, so I do expect a few goals.
Wednesday line up with Chris Woods in goal, Nigel Pearson, Nigel Worthington, Viv Anderson and Danny Wilson at the back, Carlton Palmer, John Sheridan, John Harks and Chris Waddle in midfield, with Hirst and Wright up top. On the bench are Kevin Pressman, Chris Bart-Williams and Gordon Watson. And for Blackburn, it's Bobby Mims in goal, Colin Hendry, Kevin Moran, Alan Wright and David May at the back. In midfield is Gordon Cowans, Tim Sherwood, Mark Atkins and Jason Wilcox, with Mike Newell and Alan Shearer up front. On the bench, Tony Dobson and Roy Wegley. Wednesday's first chance came from a Carlton Palmer cross, Mark Bright header, saved by Mims, not that safe, and then John Sheridan on his first start of the season tried one from 30 yards, that nearly crept in. Then it was David Erskine, he came in off the left, shot with his right, straight into Mims' hands. Then Waddle put one in and Hirst couldn't get on the end of it. I think that's John Harks who smacked that free kick in straight into the keeper's hands. Waddle with a corner. The ball comes back. That's in. No, it's out. What's happening? Oh, yeah, no, 0-0. Waddle on the right, coming in on the left, famously, as he always does, strikes on goal, straight at Mims. And, Hirst again. He's jinking in and out the defenders. He's had another go. Held by Mims. 0-0.
Well, that's 3 0-0s on the bounce now for Blackburn since the bang 7 past Norwich. Alan Shearer, who was 16 in 16, he's on a bit of a goal drought now. Bobby Mims, not for the first time this season, kept Rovers in the game. 0-0. Well, I honestly feel a little bit sorry for Southampton manager Ian Bransford. He's getting abuse from the fans. He needs protection from the stewards when he's walking to and from the dugout. Saints sit second bottom. Today at the Dell, it's the lowest attendance in modern times there. There's less than 11,000 fans. Less than 11,000 fans watching a Premier League game. Saints take on Oldham today. Well, could it be an easier game? Oldham haven't actually won on the road this season. Southampton need to win today.
The Saints line up with Tim Flowers in goal, Richard Hall, Ken Moncow, Mickey Adams and Francis Benali at the back. In midfield are Jeff Kenner, Glenn Cockerill, Terry Hurlock and Neil Maddison, with Matt Letizia behind Ian Dowie up front. On the bench are Ian Andrews, Tommy Widrington and Lee Powell. For Oldham, it's John Holworth in goal, Steve Redmond, Richard Jobson, Neil Poynton and Gunnar Haller at the back. In midfield, Neil MacDonald, Paul Bernard, Mike Milligan and Nick Henry, with Ian Marshall and Graham Sharp up front. On the bench are John Keeley, Craig Fleming and Neil Adams. No away wins at all this season for Oldham, but they nearly caused a riot down in the Dell in the first half when Nick Henry whipped a cross in and Ian Marshall got his head to it, but it hit the crossbar. The boos were ringing round the Dell. But in the second half, Neil Madison, with some great control, found Matt Letizia out on the wing. He swung a ball in, and Richard Hall was there at the back stick. Allworth probably could have done better, but a vital 3 points for Southampton.
And the Saints bagged their first win in 5 league games. It couldn't silence the Boo Boys. 500 of them stayed behind, demanding the sacking of the manager and the board. The win lifts them out of the relegation places for now. 1-0. Well, we're about a third of the way through the first Premier League season, and we have two bottom half teams meeting today at White Hart Lane as Tottenham take on Liverpool. At the start of the season, you'd not have expected these two to be playing so poorly, really, hovering above the relegation spots. But Liverpool are still searching for that first away win of the season, and it's a tough game today. But whoever comes out with 3 points, it's huge.
Tottenham line up with Eric Torsfett in goal, a back four of Neil Ruddock, Gary Mabbott, Justin Edinburgh and Stone Cold Dean Austin. In midfield is Steve Sedgley, Paul Allen, Naeem and Nick Barmby, with Gordon Dury and Teddy Sheringham up front. On the bench are Kevin Dearden, Andy Turner and David Howells. And for Liverpool, it's David James in goal, a back four of Torben Picnic, Mark Wright, David Burrows and Mike Marsh. Jamie Redknapp, Steve McManaman, Michael Thomas and Mark Walters in midfield, with Don Hutchison behind Ian Rush up front. On the bench is Mike Hooper, Nick Tanner and Paul Stewart. No action until the 63rd minute today when Spurs got a free kick in the centre circle. Neil Ruddock pumped it forward, Gary Mabbott headed it up in the air, and there was Naeem from 30 yards past David James. What a goal, 1-0 to Tottenham. James still looking for his first clean sheet for Liverpool, but he had no chance with that one. The former Barcelona man, of course, a make way in the Gary Lineker deal, getting his first goal for Spurs. And what a way to do so. Great header by Mabbott. He watched it all the way right onto his right peg and whack! 1-0. 9 minutes later, Spurs got a corner. Naeem over it again. He whips it in. It's been flicked on somewhere, and there's Neil Ruddock for his first goal for Tottenham in his second spell. This is dreadful for Liverpool. Amazing for Tottenham. James, helpless. Let's have a look at the replay, see what happened. Or let's just watch Neil Ruddock milk it for a little bit first. Let's see then. Where did the flick on come from? Oh, it was Mark Walters. And Ruddock into an open net. A woeful chip to the capital for Liverpool. But what a result for Doug Livermore's men. 2-0.
And the Super Sunday game this week sees Queen's Park Rangers travelling to Villa Park. Aston Villa have picked up their form recently. They've won 5 of the last 7 games. Queen's Park Rangers, well, they're also on fire. They sit third in the table going into this. But when you've got Dalian Atkinson and Dean Saunders running at you, it's never easy. Strap yourselves in, we've got a game and a half today.
Villa line up with Nigel Spink in goal. A back four are Sean Teal, Paul McGrath, Steve Staunton and Earl Barrett, with David Farrell, Gary Parker, Kevin Richardson and Ray Houghton in midfield, with the deadly pair of Dalian Atkinson and Dean Saunders up front. On the bench are Mark Bosnich, Brian Small and Dwight York, all 20 years old. For QPR, it's Tony Roberts in goal, Alan McDonald, Darren Peacock, Clive Wilson and David Bardsley at the back. In midfield are Simon Barker, Andy Impey, Ray Wilkins and Ian Holloway, with Bradley Allen and Les Ferdinand up front. On the bench is Jan Steshkal, Danny Maddox and Dennis Bailey. QPR's first chance today came after a long ball forward for Les Ferdinand to chase onto. Sean Teal didn't deal with it very well at all. Staunton didn't have the pace. Ferdinand ran clear, took it round Roberts and, well, he had the chance but he didn't bother. Staunton did well to recover. Anyway, played out by McGrath. Impey with a shot on goal. Teal has got back in time and cleared to safety. 0-0. Then Clive Wilson whacked a free kick forward. Darren Peacock headed it. Simon Barker headed it right across goal towards Andy Impey. He played the ball back to Peacock. First time cross. Ferdinand on the volley. Over the bar. 0-0. Just before half time, Dalian Atkinson latched onto a long ball and sent Dean Saunders clear. Alan McDonald couldn't catch up and he calmly slotted past Tony Roberts to make it 1-0 to Villa. The man is on fire. Then, with just over 10 minutes to go, Steve Staunton played a beautiful ball to nothing into the corner of the pitch. Peacock thought he was unopposed, but Dalian Atkinson closed him down. Peacock slipped over, left Atkinson clean through on goal. He slotted the ball under Tony Roberts to make it 2-0 to Aston Villa. What a strike partnership they have got. A great win for the Villains, sees them jump above QPR in the table, and with Saunders and Atkinson on fire, the only way is up.
And to end the week, can we all just take a moment to wish Ian Wright a happy 29th birthday? He returns to Selhurst Park to take on his old club, Crystal Palace. Arsenal, they've won 4 on the trot. Palace without a win at home. How many are Arsenal going to win this by today? Can Wrighty bag himself a birthday goal? Let's see.
Palace line up with Nigel Martin in goal, Eric Young, Andy Thorne, Lee Sinnott and Gareth Southgate at the back, with Richard Shaw, Simon Osborne, John Solarco and Eddie McGoldrick in midfield, with Paul Williams and Chris Armstrong up front. On the bench are Paul Held, Chris Coleman and Jeff Thomas. Arsenal line up with David Seaman in goal, Tony Adams, Steve Bold, Lee Dixon and Steve Morrow at the back. In midfield, David Hillier, John Jensen and Paul Merson, with Alan Smith, Kevin Campbell and Ian Wright up front. On the bench is Alan Miller, Pal Lyderson and Anders Limpar. 5 minutes in, David Seaman hoofed the ball upfield. Andy Thorne got his head to it. It only went as far as Lee Dixon, who played it forward. Alan Smith turned it around the corner and left Paul Merson through on goal to make it 1-0 to the Gunners. Merson's 3rd goal of the season, and what a ball by Alan Smith. It's a great start for the Gunners. George Graham, obviously, he's absolutely ecstatic. Look at him, barely contain himself. Not long later, Merson whipped a free kick in. It bobbled around in the box and left Wright clean through 1-on-1, and he hit it wide. I don't know how. It was harder to miss, but he found a way. Oh, righty. Arsenal's next chance came after a Lee Dixon hoop forward towards Kevin Campbell. He got the better of Richard Shaw, showed good strength, raced into the box. He was shown wide. Great save by Martin. It came back to Campbell. He found David Hillier on the edge of the box, who produced a tame shot straight into Martin's hands. Great pause, George. The score stayed the same into the second half, and on the 69th minute, Eddie McGoldrick whipped a free kick in. It was headed up in the air. Just a bit of confusion. Adams got it clear, kind of, towards Solarco. There was a slice shot across goal, and there was super Eddie McGoldrick to equalise for Palace. This made Arsenal angry, and they pushed on for that 3 points, and 3 points they did need. And Lee Dixon got the ball out on the right. He whipped a ball in with his left. It evaded everyone, and he nearly got on the score sheet himself. Alan Smith, I don't think he quite got there. Let's have a look. Ball comes across. There's Smithton. Oh, he should have got there, but oh, he hit the post. 1-1. In the 73rd minute, Tony Adams gave the ball to Lee Dixon. He pushed on down the wing, played the ball inside to Kevin Campbell. He played a 1-2 with Paul Merson, who gave the ball to Ian Wright, who back to Campbell, back to Wright. 2-1 to Arsenal. What a goal. And he celebrates in front of the Palace fans, and rightly so. He's been getting dogs abuse and boos all game. 2-1 to the Bruised Banana Gooners. Some great play between Campbell and Wright. I don't think Wright touched that actually, but we're going to let him off. And a superb finish by the birthday boy. They didn't stop there though, the Gunners. Lee Dixon again found Paul Merson, who raced towards the box, cut it back to Dixon. He played it across to Smith, saved by Martin. Smith again. Martin again. I don't know what that was, if it was great goalkeeping by Martin or just poor from Alan Smith. Let's have another look. Merson has the ball. He deceives everyone, giving it back to Dixon. It's across. Oh, yeah, no, Smith should have done better there. 2-1. A great win for the Gunners, and a doubly bad day for Palace, not only not getting any points, but seeing the former star man score against them. Right, well, that brings us to the end of episode 14 of Relive the League. I'm on my own again for the outro bit, as Ben's on that fishing trip. Hopefully nothing like Uncle Bryn's. Thanks again, Fionn, for the commentary as well. Please make sure you go follow him on the socials we popped on earlier. Right, league tables. Let's have a look at the bottom half. It's glum for the Forest fans. In fact, glum for any team in the bottom half there, with only 8 points separating bottom and 12th, Leeds United on 18. The top half, Blackburn still top, even though they've sat still a little bit since they battered second place Norwich the other week. Arsenal and Villa firing up the table. Man United, they'd like to be higher up, wouldn't they? Yeah, Chelsea and Middlesbrough, a bit of a surprise up in the top half. The top scorers, only 1 or 2 scored this week in the top to affect that, but Paul Wilkinson, Lee Chapman, they're up on 8. Dean Saunders and Dalian Atkinson, they both bagged to take themselves on to 7. Let's see what can happen next week on game week 15 then. It's a pretty big month in football history in the Premier League is November. So remember to keep checking back to catch up what happens. Yep, okay then. Until then, I'll see you later.